Hello, YouTube. When it comes to the presence of alien bases on our planet, it's worth looking for them in the ocean. You know, a large proportion of paranormal researchers agree with this opinion. My book, Russia's USO Secrets, co-authored with Phil Mantle, tells of the Soviet and Russian unidentified submersible objects and underwater alien bases from the Soviet, Russian, and Ukrainian materials. Today, some ufologists study online maps, and sometimes this activity gives interesting results. For example, in 2020, an amateur researcher from Taiwan discovered a large, perfectly round object near the coast of Peru. It is located at a depth of 120 meters. Its diameter reaches several kilometers, which makes the find very intriguing. Ufologists admit that it may be a giant apparatus of extraterrestrial civilizations that crashed in the past. While the Google Earth image of the ocean floor shows a sizable circular anomaly that some suspect could be a submerged flying saucer that measures a staggering 5 miles in diameter. The very weird find was made by the UFO researcher Scott Waring as he was studying photos from the popular satellite mapping service. While exploring the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, the anomaly hunter was surprised to see what appears to be a perfectly round object submerged in the waters off the coast of Peru, and it's remarkably close, some say, to where the famed Nazca lines are located. The Russians say that there is also an assumption that this facility is a secret base of the United States military. However, to all official requests from the Peruvian authorities for clarification regarding a possible underwater base, the Americans, according to the Russians, only laugh it off, while the other Russians say that humanity does not have the technologies to create such a monumental structure at the bottom of the ocean. But maybe they are representatives of other civilizations. It is very difficult to believe that a conditional mothership can reach such a monumental size. It's 6.5 kilometers if we use these measurements, at least because it needs a lot of materials, and if the technical process of building the apparatus is similar to that of our planet. But it's still quite possible to assume that this is one of the alien bases, or maybe a base of an unknown, ancient, still existing and functioning civilization, which I mentioned in my other videos. Logically, to avoid unwanted encounters with human beings, it's best to settle deep underground or in the oceans. However, this is a terrestrial logic. Being a human, it is difficult to correctly assess the course of thought, mental thinking of representatives of other civilizations. Therefore, maybe all this is just a quirk of nature. Although I, as a person who believes in a huge, or maybe countless number of intelligent civilizations in the universe, would really like people to discover the base of extraterrestrial aliens and come into contact with them. Although, based on my research, I'm sure that some people have come into contact with them already. But now let's look at the United States of America. Some recent finds are hard to explain. Again, are they of natural origin or supernatural? And this doesn't pertain only to the United States. But let's look at this. There's a vast field of mysterious, perfectly circular holes that dot the seafloor of California's coast, as was discovered in 2019. On the sea bottom of the coast of Central California lies a vast field of mysterious pockmarks. The field spans about 500 square miles, 1,300 square kilometers. And there are approximately 5,200 of these strange pits, which on average measure about 600 feet in diameter, 175 meters, and 16 feet, 5 meters deep. No one knows how these mystery holes appeared, but they likely made their first appearance 400,000 years ago, according to research presented in December of that year at the annual meeting of the American Geophysical Union, AGU, by Charles Paul, a marine geologist and senior scientist with the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute. The abbreviation would be MBARI. And when Paul's team sent diving robots into the ocean depths to map the pockmarks, they made an unexpected discovery. Peppering the sea bottom around the pockmarks were thousands upon thousands of much smaller holes or micro depressions measuring only 36 feet, 11 meters wide, and 3 feet, 1 meter deep on average. The micro depressions outnumber the pockmarks by about 3 to 1, meaning that the pockmark field holds roughly 15,000 of these smaller features that were previously undetected. This is what Paul told the AGU. Until about 3 years ago, this part of the seafloor near Big Sur was a research backwater with very little data showing what it looked like, Paul said. But marine researchers began investigating the region more closely after the area came under consideration for building an offshore wind farm. The unusual pockmarks were first mapped from the sea surface by scientists with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, MBARI and other agencies using sonar, but examining them at high resolution required MBARI's sonar-mounted diving robots, autonomous underwater vehicles, AUV, according to Paul. The state-of-the-art NOAA tool can get resolution that's on the order of 10 meters. The diving robot can do 10 times better, achieving 1 meter resolution, he said. At that higher resolution, the pockmarks were found to be smooth and nearly perfectly circular. The exceptional detail of these new views also revealed micro depressions for the first time. They had steeper sides than the larger pits and had tails that trailed off in one direction, hinting that currents may have played a role in their formation. Paul explained, the micro depressions also contained garbage. The large pockmarks are described as having been inactive for more than 50,000 years, but many of the smaller holes appear to be much newer and may have formed in recent years. One early theory that gases under the seafloor were bubbling up to create the holes was discarded. No evidence of fluid gas venting were found in either type of feature, the researchers explained. The best of all theories so far is the idea that humans might be inadvertently creating the holes with their waste. When something drops onto the seafloor and sits there, marine life may be moving in and turning it into a home. Many have substantial accumulations of debris, trash, whole plastic bags in some cases, according to Paul. From what we know about the rate that sediments accumulate in this area, that comes with C14, carbon-14 dating. This would indicate that the strata deposited at this level were deposited 400,000 years ago, which suggests these features have persisted through time, according to Paul. What's more, the larger pockmarks, again, have not changed for more than 50,000 years, he said. The usual explanation for seabed pits such as this is that they are formed by flows of subsurface fluids or methane gases. This can create unstable conditions in the seabed that would be unsuitable for a wind farm, Paul said. but the scientists saw no visual evidence of disturbance in the pits. And when they extracted sediment cores from inside the pockmarks and microdepressions and analyzed the water chemistry, they didn't find any chemical traces indicating the presence of methane or fluid. Both the pockmarks and the microdepressions that we found show no evidence of methane venting going on. So the common model for pockmark formation is not working in this site, and more research will be required to determine what shape these pits and pocks. That's what he told to AGU, Paul, the scientist. So the mystery remains for now. I gotta tell you something. I love the Big Surf. Years ago, I used to frequent there a lot, to the extent I could work and all that. But I've been keeping an eye on, and many years ago, I remember there was an article, brief article about very unusual noise emanating from the waters of the Big Sur. That was back in the 1990s, and I don't think there was an explanation found ever since. I've talked to scientists that do marine biology research there too, and a lot of strange things are found off the coast of California, but we can talk about it some other time. So the mystery remains for now. Let's go to March 2023. More or less same territory. A mountain would seem to be a tough thing to miss, but a new one has been found off the coast of Northern California. The seamount, as underwater mountains are called, were discovered by a seafloor mapping drone, and its shape is more like a giant tower than a mountain. It rises about 3,300 feet, has relatively steep, smooth sides, and is rounded with a diameter of nearly 3,000 feet, according to officials. Sail Drone, the research company that found it, reports the mount sits 184 nautical miles of Cape Mendocino, which is about 300 miles northwest of Sacramento. The immediate reaction from the team was that it looked like a bundt cake. It's very round and with steep sides and curved top that slopes into a crater in the center. According to Nea Backler, the lead surveyor for Sail Drone, one side of the top rim is higher than the other, forming a gradual summit. The top is slightly bulbous due to a variability in slope. The summit of the seamount is about 11,352 feet below sea level. Meanwhile, the crater at the top of it is 1,200 feet deep, data shows. Sail Drone discovered the seamount while mapping the seafloor in partnership with the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. So we hear about them again. And the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. Previously collected radar and satellite data hinted something might be sticking up of the seafloor in the area, but the seamount turned out to be one much larger feature, according to Sail Drone. Discovering a new seafloor feature is always noteworthy, but this feature is wedged between the Mendocino and Pioneer fracture zones, placing it in a very dynamic area. It's surprising that no one has explored it, considering the many interesting fault-related features in the area and its proximity to so many ocean science institutions. Scientists assume the formation is the result of volcanism. Many seamounts form at volcanic hotspots near the tectonic plane boundaries and are believed to be extinct volcanoes, according to NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, to remind you. Typically, they are cone-shaped, but often have other prominent features, such as craters, and linear ridges, and some called guyouts, have very large flat summits, NOAA reports. There's a broad-size distribution for seamounts, but to be classified as a seamount, the feature must have a vertical relief of at least 1,000 meters, that's 3,300 feet, above the surrounding seafloor. The United States Geological Survey reports there are at least 63 seamounts off California, and most of them are 100 miles offshore and a mile deep. It's estimated that they are 10 million to 25 million years old, and none are active volcanoes, the USGS says. More discoveries await Saildrone. The Saildrone found the new mount in February during a mission to map previously unexplored areas around Alaska's Aleutian Islands and off the California coast, according to the officials. Brian Cannon, vice president of ocean mapping for Saildrone, called the seamount a prime example of the discoveries waiting to be found in the U.S. waters. Among the extremes encountered during the mapping expedition was a spot in the Aleutians that was roughly 4.4 miles deep, according to Cannon. No shipwrecks were noted during data collection, but we did see a whole area of fascinating features, including long finger ridges, likely from faulting with intricate drainage textures, submarine canyons and basins, and the Aleutian Trench, Cannon said. Saildrone intends to submit data about the seamount to the General Bathymetric Chart of the Ocean Subcommittee on Undersea Features names for naming, so it can be added to international maps as a named feature. The company is considered the world leader in proving ocean data solutions with autonomous surface vehicles, including uncrewed missions to survey conditions inside hurricanes. Listen to me, the Aleutian Islands. Look at my videos about the Matua in the corals and the fact that Stalin offered the United States to exchange the Aleutians for Matua. Now I know that not only Matua contains incredible secrets of which I don't know when we'll find out. It's a secret zone now controlled by the Russian military and Russian military scientists. You find it all in my videos. By the Aleutians, did Stalin know something that we're just finding in this time? I don't know. But I'll keep my eye also on the Aleutians to the extent possible. Whatever the open sources provide, there is no other way I can get this information. But let's travel to Japan now. And you can find much more about Japanese underwater mysterious phenomena in my other videos. Look at the playlists for underwater phenomena. You'll find it. But here's what I want to tell you today. They have been called the crop circles of the ocean floor. 7-foot diameter pattern circles that were first spotted in 1995 off the coast of southern Japan. But their origin was an enigma, and local divers termed them mystery circles. Well, the mystery persisted until 2011, when the culprit, a male pufferfish, just 5 inches long, was finally caught in the act. And recently, scientists studied the process of how this species creates these elaborate designs in order to woo females. The research team observed a total of 10 construction events carried out by somewhere between 4 and 8 males. Pufferfish don't have very memorable faces, apparently. Males spend 7 to 9 days building their respective circles by repeatedly swimming in and out of the circle, causing their fins to dig valleys in the sandy bottom. That's cool. The aesthetics were clearly important. The spirograph pattern was meticulously created, and males were observed decorating the peaks with shells and coral fragments. But the design had a practical purpose as well. The male swimming patterns stirred up fine sand particles and pushed them toward the middle of the circle, which served as the actual nest. This was the part of the circle where he, I guess the male, entertained lady callers. When a female pufferfish approached the circle, the male stirred up the sand in the middle and darted back and forth through it. If she judged him a suitable mate, she would lay her eggs in the sandy, centralized zone. The researchers reported in 2013 in Scientific Reports. Scientists say it's likely the quality of the circle helps determine a female's male choice, though they have yet to demonstrate how. But once mating is completed, the male ceases his upkeep of the circle, and after the eggs hatch, he abandons the nest altogether. But after all that effort, you may ask, why not just reuse his earlier circle? The authors speculate that the male's forceful wooing depletes the area of its fine particles, which are necessary for the next round of egg rearing. And then it's back to the drawing board for this amorous artist, so to say. So you see, sometimes nature creates objects that are fascinating to us, but they're just part of nature. Well, let's look. Let's go to the other part of the world. Deep below the Indian Ocean, there is a giant gravity hole, over 1 million square miles in size, a depression in the Earth's crust that has puzzled scientists for decades. While it's technically not a conventional hole, geophysicists have used the term to denote a concentrated area where the effects of Earth's gravity are far lower than average. And in 2013, scientists might have figured out how this mysterious depression came to be. A fascinating peek into our planet's ancient and sometimes counterintuitive geological evolution. Since our planet is far from a perfect sphere, its poles are flat, while there are bulges lining its equator. The gravitational pull varies depending on location. Scientists have mapped these effects to create the Earth geoid, as Scientific American explains, a potato-shaped map that visually exaggerates these gravitational dips and valleys. One dip in particular, dubbed the Indian Ocean Geoid Low, or IOGL, has caught the attention of researchers ever since its first discovery, back in 1948. In a new study published in Geophysical Research Letters, Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, Atri Ghosh and doctoral student Debanjan Pal examined the dip, finding that the sea level of the surrounding ocean is almost 350 feet lower than the global average. After running various computer models of how the region changed over the last 140 million years, the team concluded that the IOGL may have been the result of the African blob, a huge mass in the Earth's mantle, lurking more than 600 miles under Africa, being pushed underneath the Indian Ocean. Look at my other videos about mysteries of the Indian Ocean, especially Russian research. I think you will find it fascinating. And I've mentioned this before as well, but now it's coming from other scientists, by the way. Fascinatingly, geologists believe this blob was formed by the remnants of the sea floor of an ancient ocean called the Tethys Ocean that sat between two supercontinents called Laurasia and Gondwana more than 200 million years ago. Later, the Indian Ocean was created roughly 120 million years ago as Gondwana moved north into this ancient ocean. The IOGL, as Pal and Ghosh argue in their latest paper, likely took its current shape roughly 20 million years ago because of plumes and hot, low-density magma flanking the area. Slabs of the Tethys Ocean sunk into the mantle. But plenty of questions remain, as Himanshu Paul at the National Geophysical Research Institute in India told New Scientist there could still be other factors behind the existence of the IOGL as well. Maybe we'll find out what the other factors are. And something else about the Indian Ocean. There are a lot of things in the waters of our planet that remain unknown to deep-sea water explorers. Occasionally, the unknown washes up on a beach or gets caught on high-tech cameras, while many of them turn out to be known species. Some baffle researchers and scientists with their physical attributes and appearance. The footage that I'm talking about shows a bizarre-looking creature transforming itself 3,700 feet deep in the ocean. The clip begins with the creature looking like a monster from an old arcade game that gamers generally shoot, or Xenomorph, the otherworldly creature made famous by James Cameron and Ridley Scott from the Alien movie franchise. It floats around for about 40 seconds before suddenly shrinking into a tiny black ball shape. A few seconds later, it opens and becomes a little elongated to resemble the top of a lemon squeezer. According to reports, the video was taken by an ROV, remotely operated vehicle, at the depth of 3,753 feet in the Indian Ocean. But near the end of the footage, the creature can be seen getting caught up in the output from the ROV thrusters. The clip was circulated online back in 2013, but resurfaced on the social media platforms recently. This is very interesting. One day I need to make videos about other parts of the Indian Ocean, closer to Africa, and the strangeness about some of the islands in the French-held territory someday. But now we sail on to Europe into the year 2014. The truth behind the mysterious underwater circles that periodically appear off the coast of Denmark has been discovered, and sadly it does not involve aliens or fabled lost city of the Atlantis. In 2008, a tourist snapped photos of several large, dark rings that appeared near the white cliffs of Denmark's island of Moen in the Baltic Sea. The circles, several as large as tennis courts, sparked numerous theories of their origin, some more outlandish than others. In 2011, when the formations reappeared, scientists discovered they were round bands of marine eelgrass, similar to rings of mushrooms known as fairy rings. Because eelgrass usually grows as continuous underwater meadows, scientists were still baffled by the rims of lush eelgrass with barren cores. Now researchers say that at last they know the rings' true cause. The scientists found large amounts of toxic sulfide built up in the muds where the eelgrass grows. The sulfide forms when nutrients from agricultural runoff cause bacteria to flourish. Eelgrass grows radially outward, with older plants in the middle and younger seedlings on the outer rim, because only the middle ring of mature plants can endure the poisonous sulfide. A near-perfect ring of seagrass forms. The researchers reported in the February issue of Marine Biology back in 2014. While the eelgrass circles make for a remarkable sight and a catalyst for strange conspiracy theories. The researchers say sulfide from agricultural runoff has become a major problem for seagrass ecosystems worldwide. And I've mentioned the human impact, baneful, dangerous, detrimental impact on the ecosystems of the oceans. And what can you do? What can you do except trying to stop it the best way possible? Because without the oceans, there's not going to be life on this planet. So you see, some phenomena we find around the world can be explained, but some definitely cannot. And the one that cannot be explained, I'll try to bring more of it to you. So if you like my research, I urge you to please support me through the links you will find in the description to this video. Please tell others about my channel, because I try to bring many subjects that you will not find in the run-of-the-mill newspapers and reports and so forth. And please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your attention to my work. I'll bring you more interesting videos soon.